The Xenoverse series has taken many inspirations from Dragon Ball titles of old and new, with Xenoverse itself only existing because it took its main premise from Dragon Ball Online. But it also doesn't stop there. It copies ideas from games that came out even after Xenoverse 2, games like Dragon Ball FighterZ, DBZ Kakarot, and no joke, even Sparking Zero. Yeah, a game that's not even 2 years old yet. We know of Xenoverse's many innovations that are aiming to make the most long-lasting Dragon Ball game of all the time, and one of the best ways to do this is with secondary gameplay content, whether it be parallel quests, raid missions, survival modes, player versus player, and many more to come. Hello everyone, it's me again, Steve Doji here, back to more Dragon Ball Xenoverse 3, and I wanted to talk about Xenoverse 3's expansion on the obvious side content. Now, side content isn't going to be anything like story mode missions or anything, it's mostly going to just be things that you can do after the story mode, or even during the story mode, maybe even before you start the story mode. Parallel quests, PvP, raids, all the other extra stuff. Now, I'm going to address this first. Xenoverse 3 will most likely have expert missions again, because expert missions were a very big part of Xenoverse 2's progression, especially when the game first came out. Expert missions were huge when it came to progression. If you wanted to level up, if you wanted to unlock new skills, if you wanted to play with people in general, expert missions were huge, so they're naturally going to make a return in Xenoverse 3. The system might be different most likely, and expert missions aren't something you can actually do when the game first launches. You actually have to do a bit of the story mode first, or wait for some of the expert mission like free DLC to launch. A good example is when we had to wait for certain things like the Broly and Janemba expert missions to release after the Goku and Vegeta ones. So most likely a lot of expert missions will not be available when the game is first out. You have to beat the story mode to unlock all of them, but expert missions are a huge example as to player progression, because in Xenoverse 2, trying to do some of the expert missions today if you just get the game is actually kind of hard, if not impossible, because some of them are mandatory clears, but people aren't playing those expert missions anymore because the game is so old. So I wanted to mention expert missions first because I thought that would be very interesting, how some of them might not actually be doable anymore in Xenoverse 2, but in Xenoverse 3, we'll see how they change the system, if they become mandatory again, or if they just make it so that they're optional. Naturally, skills will still be locked behind expert missions. Stuff like data input, you guys might remember, is famously an expert mission like skill. You can only get that by doing, like, I think it was a Buhan expert mission, or some really hard expert mission where you had to fight a bunch of like super villains at the same time. But at the time, that was a DLC skill, even though expert missions are free. So Xenoverse 3 will most likely do the same thing by having a lot of these big expert missions like carry like new skills in them, whether it be like a Moro skill or a Mirror skill, because guys have to remember that game is coming out the exact same time we're getting the anime, so most likely new anime skills or skills that never made it into Xenoverse 2 will just be in expert missions. Now, naturally, survival mode as a topic is going to come up, because not only did Sparking Zero finally add it, survival mode is just a thing a lot of games have in general, especially games where there's a form of progression, whether it be in terms of combat or leveling up or weapons. I mean, we've had this in games of old, and even games that aren't even that old. Some games even call their survival modes entirely different things. A good example is Call of Duty Zombies. We've always had survival mode in video games, and there's no better game than a game like Xenoverse that could benefit from there being one big stage where as many time patrollers fight as many escalating enemies as possible. And again, Sparking Zero does do this extremely well, I might add. So the fact that Xenoverse 2 can easily implement this as well, obviously just have the enemies like start at level 5 and then progress all the way up to level 10, 20, 40, 60, 80, and then, you know, maybe to the ridiculous levels like level 199 if it gets that far. You can even have enemies show up in different waves, like you can have waves of like all a Cell with Cell Juniors as well, or every form of Frieza attacking at the same time. And by the way, we will get every form of Frieza because we have second and third form Frieza in Breakers, which means we're going to have them in Xenoverse 3, baby. Survival is just a really easy mode to add and get away with. It's a game mode that honestly doesn't take that much effort to add for any game in general, and it has so much in terms of returns. You could just make the rewards something as simple as TP medals, or even a chance to get Dragon Balls during survival runs, etc, and that's going to be enough to get players invested. I mean, Xenoverse already has people spamming expert missions just to get more TP medals, or doing like early game parallel quests just to get Dragon Balls. So it wouldn't even be ridiculous to have survival mode just give even the bare minimum of rewards. It doesn't even have to give anything unique. It would just be really fun, a really nice way for players to interact with, you know, each other, as well as do, you know, pretty, you know, moderate challenging content to get, you know, decent rewards. And I think that's just a really easy thing for them to get away with and add, so no reason for them to not just take a page out of Sparking Zero's book or any other video game's book for that matter and just, you know, have survival mode. Raids, as usual, can just give the super exclusive rewards, such as character costumes that look really, really good. Example would be Whis, Hit, Supreme Kai of Times, etc. I think Raids should just stick to having the, giga unique rewards like colorable versions of Tapion's clothes. All these super unique Super Souls. I think they could literally just leave it the same and be fine. Just don't do what they do with Xenoverse 2, where sometimes the raid rewards are stuff you can naturally get in the game in way easier content that doesn't take anywhere near as much time to get the rewards. A great example is that sometimes the unique raid reward is like a Margin Vegeta Super Soul from a Margin Vegeta raid that comes around like once every year and a half, when you can just do a parallel quest and get that. Or go to the TP Metal Shop and just buy that for dirt cheap. I don't know, sometimes the raid rewards in Xenoverse 2 be super tweaking. So I think they should just stick to what they do with certain other raids where they just do only the very rarest unique stuff. And if they don't want to do that, just take a page out of Destiny's book and just put like some super unique, like weird stuff inside of these raids. And if a player gets it, then yippee. And if they don't, they can just try again. And for parallel quests, I don't imagine they'll change the parallel quest system. I'm gonna be honest, other than like really bad RNG sometimes, the parallel quest system is kind of alright. It's very fine even. You have missions that like go up and down in difficulty, sure. Some missions are way harder than they need to be, but it's not that much of a problem. You can just bring 2 other players with you, and especially because when Xenoverse 3 does come out, it'll be a new game. It won't be like Xenoverse 2 now, where trying to look for help during a parallel quest can be a little hard. Xenoverse 3 will just have immediate access to a bunch of other players online because the game would be out and everyone would be going hunting for their favorite skills. So I think the parallel quest system, honestly, I know it bothers a lot of people. I know even Rhymestyle quit Xenoverse 2 the first time because of the RNG in parallel quests, but I think the parallel quest system for the most part is okay. It's fine. You really just need like 2 other players with you to get through some of the longer ones, so that way the RNG doesn't feel as bad. Or you need to equip a certain Super Soul that would obviously increase the drop rate chance when it comes to this stuff. And I want to point out, by the way, that Super Soul will most likely be in the game at the very start. It won't be a DLC Super Soul. The same way how the XP Super Souls in Xenoverse 1 were immediately available at the end of Xenoverse 2's campaign. 40-ton weights, you guys might famously know, right? That's immediately available the moment you finish the game because they know the first thing you want to do is grind to max level after beating the story. So I'll be honest, my opinion, parallel quest system probably just stays the same. You can obviously change it up by adding new parallel quests and all that extra stuff with the game's new mechanics, sure, but I think for the most part parallel quests are actually completely fine. The final thing I wanted to talk about is actually tournament mode, because the scariest part about tournament mode is that it seems to be ungodly hard to implement properly in a Dragon Ball game. You think it'd be kind of easy to do, but recently it seems like Dragon Ball games have kind of just completely ignored it, or when they do add it, it barely gets any attention. Sparking Zero is a really great example of this, because Sparking Zero not only has customizable tournaments, but barely any, if not any tournaments if you try and search them online. Because you have the feature to just join people's online tournaments, or to just host an offline tournament and just make your favorite characters just fight each other. But it's nowhere near as popular as it was in the Budokai games, or the Budokai Tenkaichi games. I think it might just be really hard for Dragon Ball games to incorporate a tournament mode now, considering all of these games are now just massively multiplayer online games where everyone can play against each other in some way, shape or form. So maybe it'd be easier to keep the tournament modes either kind of restricted to mostly offline, mostly online, or give them a very good reason for people to want to actually play a tournament mode. Maybe if you join a player tournament, you can win a certain reward, like players can put up different Super Souls or exclusive items, kind of like the gift system in Xenoverse. For those of you guys who know, the gift system is kind of limited by the fact that you can only trade like up to 3-star level items. But for specific tournament modes, maybe players who are hosting tournaments could put up like 5-star Super Souls, 5-star QQ Bangs, 5-star character costumes, some of the most unique, rarer stuff, and maybe even official tournaments held by the game itself, obviously, should give these same super unique rewards, because I think that would be a good reason for people to at least want to participate. They don't have to win the tournament, but maybe getting a certain amount of score, kind of like the way tournaments already work in Xenoverse 2, where getting just a little bit of score is good enough. Who knows, man? Tournament modes are just very hard for Dragon Ball games to implement and do in general, which is why I was saving it for last, because this is something that you guys are going to have to solve or figure out amongst yourself in the comment section down below. I do not know the best way a Dragon Ball game could do a tournament mode. I want to say do it like Sparking Zero, but apparently that didn't work for Sparking Zero, so I'm not so sure. And I think that's a perfect place to end the video, guys. Again, I do hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, then obviously, again, please leave a like on the video. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about all of this in general. Because, again, Xenoverse 3 will be a natural evolution to what Xenoverse 2 has. So I imagine I'll keep most, if not all, of the features Xenoverse 2 has. But also want to add stuff from surrounding Dragon Ball games. Since, again, Dragon Ball games do get inspiration from each other pretty much all the time, every single game. The new game carries something from the older games. Even Sparking Zero takes some influences from Xenoverse 2, which is shocking. Because, again, one game game came out several years after the other one. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Don't forget to subscribe as it really supports the channel, and I do hope you all enjoyed. I love you all. I will see you all the next time. Take care and peace. Bye bye.